Today's question is, what happens if the big boss doesn't like me? Okay, so there are many people I meet who say, well, the big boss, the CEO, the VP, or whoever it is, a number of levels above them, doesn't like them. And the first question I always ask is, how do you know? And there really is three different scenarios that comes out. There's the one time, the multiple time, or the never conversation. Let's explore those for a minute. The one-time one is where someone says, well, I was at a meeting, I made a comment, and the boss, told me a new one or really had a go at me. So what I'd say to that person is, are you sure they were having a go at you or the context or the meeting or the environment? Go back and think about the context. You may actually be giving yourself too much credit. You may think of yourself too much in the middle of it. It really might not have been about you at all. If it's happened multiple times, then you should ask yourself, is there something in common with those times? Are you always bringing them bad news? Are you always doing half-completed work? Are you really listening to the feedback the boss is giving you? You might find there are some common elements. Now, believe it or not, there are some people who actually say this where they've never met the boss. Well, I've never met the boss, he's just heard, or I've heard, or someone told me. You've really got to be careful about gossip. Typically, people who are big bosses, CEOs, VPs, senior VPs, don't spend a lot of time thinking about who they like and don't like. They're really busy doing other things, so don't fuss if you don't know. But if you think that's true, then you need to do something. So here they are, the two things you can do. First, you go talk to your own boss, your director or your manager, or whoever it is, looks after you. And you've got to ask them the question about the perception of the big boss. And do they have a negative perception about you as an employee, as a person? And look, if you have a good relationship with your boss, you should get a good answer to that. If you don't have a good relationship with your boss, that's another problem for another time. One thing I would do is actually ask your boss if you can go and have a meeting with the big boss. Now, this may or may not be doable, depending on how many steps you are away. But normally, if it's one or two above your manager, you can achieve it. And the purpose of that meeting is to get some perception of what that person thinks about you. Now, don't just necessarily ask them flat out, do you hate me? Ask them for career advice. Ask them for, guidance on what they think you should be doing in your career. Really try and engage with them in terms of a mentor almost type relationship without necessarily asking them to be a mentor. You may find that even if they had a negative view of you, just actually asking the question, engaging with that person in a relationship type of way will actually remove some of the barriers. Bottom line here is you can't use this as an excuse in your career of why you're not getting where you want to or that someone's in the way. You've either got to deal with this problem head on by engaging with the problem, or you've got to walk away. In the end of the day, that's your choice.